Hey, welcome to the Really Charlie podcast. I'm Charlie Perry, and tonight's guest is Dr. Maritsa de Sena. This woman is amazing. She's right on point. She's here on Black History Month, but she's Dynamite Woman, and she's here just before National Women's Empowerment Month. So it works out. It works out. She's kind of getting things started and is since day one I met her at New Bedford Vocational High School. We had a little conference there and we were all chilling out, a bunch of educators and doing our thing. And but she was there, and ever since that moment we had some conversation. I said, you know what, I'm gonna put her on the podcast. And here it is. It's probably 2 years later, but she's here, and I can't wait. She has her own podcast on assignment with Dr. D, and she has schooling, real talk, and real life. And That's just tip of the iceberg when it comes to her. She got a resume that she needs a notebook to give her resume out. She just absolutely amazing. So what's going on, Maritza? Doctor
Hello,
Maritza?
Charlie.
I'm
Thank
doing
you
all right.
so much.
Yeah. So it's about time, man. We finally did it. Connecting, and we're probably all over each other's social media, checking out different things. And I'm just glad that we got 2026. Um, the initial we got you on in 2026, and that's what I wanted to do. And it's February, and I can't think of like you and so many other guests that are coming on that are just gonna kind of get me in a groove of things, because the end of 2025 was a little tough for me, and it was kind of
Mhm.
I was trying to push through November and December with the podcast, and I just needed a break, and
Mhm.
but so let's talk about you, right? You young young girl, getting raised by your family, your folks, and then you decided you wanted to do something, right?
Mhm.
Decide you want to go to higher learning, higher education, do your thing. Who inspired you to do all that?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you. Thank you
Oh, you got.
for having me here. As I said before we jumped on, it's me being put in the hot seat that I tend to put my guests in. And talking about yourself is not an easy thing to do.
No.
Um, it's been a lot of a lot on my journey. I'll
Mm,
say up and down, and really trying to discover what I'm meant to do here on this earth. Beyond going to college, right, and getting a career to be able to have a job and sustain a family and life, which was a deep running message that I received very early on, not
nice.
only from my family, but reinforced through our different institutions, media sources, just a lot of influences outside of the home. Um, and I mean, I did that. I followed that path to success, right? That yellow brick road to
Hmm.
the security in life. And there was a lot of realities, a lot of myths that were busted through that journey. And today I stand with a new sense of value, even in um, having my letters behind my name, right?
Hmm.
As I sought out my degree, it was about putting that respect in your name, if you will.
Hmm.
I remember that distinctly from a mentor of mine. But honestly, for me today, the value in what inspires me is to continue to learn, continue to evolve, um, and understanding that education goes beyond the classroom, beyond the letters behind your name. Um, I don't know if you notice in my name tag, I intentionally write my name with lowercase letters,
Hmm.
right? Um, It's an ode to Bell Hooks, who is a scholar, an advocate, um, who wanted to recognize the privilege, right,
Hmm.
within our marginalized selves when having a higher degree, the first in my family to hold a doctorate. Um,
Congratulations.
thank you. It is a privilege that I hold, and recognizing that in every um, room that I step in is a way of managing my ego and that academic sort of arrogance that may come with that, right? Because while I have expertise, of course, in my area of study, there's so much more that I am here on this earth to learn. There,
Hmm.
every single person whom I cross and engage with, I am able to learn from. And so, having that humility or leading with that sense of humility is what continues to inspire me. And I know that education is not just defined by institutions, but
Hmm.
required in everyday life. Hence, my podcast, Schooling Life. It's really helping people break beyond these um, credentials and titles and just the images that we sort of lean into and
Yep.
sometimes live behind, to recognize that we're all human. We all make mistakes. We're all continuously learning. And we're only better when we join our minds, forces, and visions with other people. So
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm here, I guess by accident and intentionally now.
Hmm. So there's one thing I like that I really enjoyed higher education. I think it really pushed me a little bit. It pushed me a whole lot more than in the high school level, middle school level. Um, and but the motivation for me was a pay raise, right?
Hmm.
And so that was the initial thing. And then as I was going, as year, the first few months, it was a struggle because I haven't been in school for a while. And so trying to learn everything and understanding, algebra all over again, which I totally, totally forgot, and then doing all those things. So it really pushed me. Um,
Hmm.
but I met so many beautiful people, so many friends that I wouldn't have met if I didn't decide it's
Hmm.
time for me to get a degree, get one, get two, whatever. I got to do something. And I did. Till this day, everyone that I met at the college, I'm still friends with. We still maintain relationships. And so that was a fascinating thing. And then I also, coming from New Bedford, Massachusetts, there's a lot of culture here. There's different cultures. But within a university, within a college, there's other cultures. There's cultures there that you learn so much, so much. And so I'm glad I did it. And I always try to
Hmm.
push people to do it. Um, and apply for every scholarship there is. I don't care if it's a scholarship, uh, you know, Kool-Aid.com. Just apply for every scholarship there is. That money is never stop. You don't just apply for a Cape Verdean scholarship and don't try for the other ones. You got to keep on doing it and apply for all of them because it will probably help you out. You know. Um, so, anyways, I just wanted to say that schooling
Yeah.
was good for me. It was.
No, it definitely was. College and a college degree and your experience is what you make of it. It really doesn't matter which institution you go to, the highest, most prestige university to a state school, community college. It's honestly what you make of it, how you maximize the resources, and that it's the only time in your life where you're going to have so many resources contained in one space. right?
Yes.
And it is a microcosmic representation of the world, and so you get to see and analyze, um, or just get to experience different groups of people and experiences in different ways. Um, but college, honestly, college is not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm so glad that I went all the way through to my terminal degree, because I feel that once I actually decided to go into my doctorate and the challenges that were posed in juggling a full time job, full time school, as well as giving birth to my son.
Mm-hmm.
I gave birth to my son soon after successfully defending my dissertation. All of that really helped me. I like to describe it as like kicking this lazy bone that I had
Mm-hmm.
in in me, that innately was just a part of my socialization, a reflection of my socioeconomic status, um, and just the environment that I grew in, of having a limited mindset.
Yep.
um, I think the thing about college for me that I understood after getting my doctorate was that college teaches you to be an employee, right? It teaches you to get a job, and a job, as I used to say to my students, leave you just over broke. And
Mm-hmm.
what college doesn't do, or even our American education system, it doesn't really help you focus on self awareness, self development, for you to understand what's your passion, and not even passion, but purpose, what's your gift in this world, so that
Mm-hmm.
you can move into ownership and not only have a job. Yes, get a job, build a career, gain those skill sets that you get when you work for someone and develop as a true leader. But
Yes.
then, how do you multiply that? How do you um, give back to the world in a way that not only impacts your own life, your family life, but also your community? And for those of us who are immigrant families, for your community globally as well, you
Yes.
know. So I always, of course, promote education. I'm an educator at heart, but I also think that the college is not the only way to success. But you have to be willing to put in that work to figure out what your path is, what that gift is, so you can figure out the best, most economically sound way to get there. Because along with my letters are a lot of zeros and numbers behind
Mm-hmm.
my debt owed to the federal government. So
Mm-hmm.
it all comes with the package, and I like, that's another reason I started my podcast, because I like to dismantle some of these um, these ideas that we have about people's lives just based on their accomplishments and credibilities, and we don't recognize the struggles, the sacrifices, right, that have had to
Mm-hmm.
be made to be able to get to that particular mountaintop. And just because you're at a mountaintop doesn't mean that it's been easy, that you're able to maintain it easily. We have to do everything with intention and self awareness, right? And that's a
Yeah.
continuous life process and journey commitment that we have to make as individuals.
That's nice. Have you done any keynote speaking?
I have. I've done some keynote speaking. I would love to do more, especially in the college realm and context. So I used to work in higher ed for 13 or 14 years, where um, I moved from college admissions, working specifically with multicultural recruitment,
Mm-hmm.
and then moved into student development. So I developed a program at Lesley University in Cambridge called the Urban Scholars Initiative, where I really focused on supporting first generation, low income students of color, marginalized students, through successfully not just surviving, but I like to think thriving through college. It was a scholarship support program. And in that sense, I worked to sorry, I got excited for a second and lost my train of thought
All
because
right.
I really enjoyed that work with the students. So I was saying I would love to do more of those talks because a lot of my focus was having real talk with those students about what it's like to be a marginalized student on a predominantly white institution. Um, and how to maximize the resources that were there and your time on an institution that originally wasn't established with you in mind. And so I think it's important to be able to get that return on investment and not just have a diploma or degree right behind your name. So
Yeah.
I'd love to do more keynote speaking in that area or with high school students, just young people. But right now, a lot of my um, speaking work is coming through as a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do focus on transformative organizational leadership using an equity and inclusion lens. And so I'm doing I'm teaching in that area and then consulting. Um, and consulting has, taken a hit since the Trump
Yeah.
administration.
Mm-hmm.
In
Yes.
that area. However, it's okay because I think it's important that we really focus on exactly what we're doing, which is transforming leaders from the inside out and not necessarily just using buzzwords like DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion to try and create a culture of belonging and inclusion in the workplace. So,
Yes. Um, there's a couple of things coming up. I'm gonna have to, talk to you about it. But I'm also on the board for the New Bedford Historical Society. And a lot of things that we do in and around this area. Well, that's my brother. He knows I'm on a podcast, right?
hey, brother.
He's probably knowing him. He probably want to do something stupid, and probably to see my brother Kevin is. I got five brothers, one sister, right?
Hmm.
So my brother Kevin is like having Michael Epps in your house, right? He's just like having Mike Epps. It's almost identical. So some of the things he does, he's gonna get you laughing. He does some crazy things. So
That's good.
that's enough for him. So the so I'm on the historic society, so there's a lot of different things, and that's the reason why I asked you about being a keynote speaker because there's things
Yeah.
that come up, and uh, so I want to make sure that if I can get you to speak around this area or in this neighborhood, it would be great for me, and you and the community because
Yeah, for sure.
um, there's one thing that I like is that um, you listen, you learn, and you teach. That's what you do,
Yeah.
and I just think that that's so important, especially when you're trying to get a message across and encourage people, um, you know, to do the right thing, be
Hmm.
inspired, get empowered, and you definitely do that. So,
I
um,
do my best.
yes, this podcast was started way back during the pandemic, right? Needed something to do. We were all locked in the house. I
Hmm.
started looking at different videos and YouTube and podcasting caught my attention. Um, and so you have your podcast. What inspired you to do it? What made you kind of put your face on the screen, invite guests, and do this podcast? What inspired you to do that?
You know, I believe in divine timing and preparation,
Hmm.
and I do equate a lot of my um, educational and career development to build my confidence to a place where I felt like I had something of value to add. Um, when I realized the limitations of working for someone or an organization or an institution alone. I wanted to move into entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
And the wildest thing is having a terminal degree in one area and then starting from scratch as a beginner in a different area. And so, as an entrepreneur, as a creative, I've, I want to say that I took the safe route.
Mhm.
I've always wanted to be an expressive, creative being since young. I
Yes.
love music, dance. I've always been a bit of an extrovert, as much as I am an
Mhm.
introvert. I came to learn that later on in life, but I had to go to school to my parents, and they immigrated from Cabo Verde Islands.
Mhm.
They um, met in America. We grew up in low income socioeconomic status. So I didn't have an option to stay home
Mhm.
to stay
Yep.
home and lean on mom and dad. So I had to go to college. And what was I going to do in college? I had to get a job in an area that would pay me well enough to make a living. And so I had to put some of my dreams aside. Um, I at some point in my journey um, followed my pursuit and interest in modeling and acting. So just being able to speak it naturally has been a part of my um, being and personality in college as a student. I
Mhm.
used to work for and eventually became a co-director for the um, the Raymond Barros. Shout out to Raymond Barros. He's a deep investor, yes, from the New Bedford area.
Mhm.
Um, the Speech Academy program.
Yes.
And I loved it. I shined through that program, teaching sixth and seventh graders how to properly prepare and deliver a speech. And that just really helped polish my speaking skills early on and build my confidence. So being able to speak and jump on camera was not a second thought for me. I
Mhm.
always was inspired by Tyra Banks, Oprah with their talk shows, and
Mhm.
always dreamed of having my own talk show. And so, as technology has evolved and YouTube has exploded, I saw a lane and a pathway. So, like you, I um, took a look at what was out there, and I just wanted to bring substance. I wanted to bring a different um, conversation out to folks. And I wanted to highlight everyday people
Yeah.
who much like you, needed their flowers while they were living, right?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
a lot of it is inspired as well from what I used to do with my students at the college level. I had a master class series once a month where I would bring in a local speaker who's came from neighborhoods in Boston, Brockton,
Mhm.
neighborhoods that we grew up in, and have made a way of life, even beyond their own imagination, right? And so that
Yes.
they can even the provost of the university or different folks on campus who had big titles, I wanted them to not be intimidated by one's title and life accomplishments, but be more curious to learn and understand what was their path, what was the thing that helped them overcome,
Mhm.
um, and let them see that like success is not a straight path. And just because you went to college doesn't mean that you had success easily or quickly, or that if you was the provost that you had top straight A's in your class. Like
Mhm.
all of this help folks really see themselves in that successful person and give them that motivation and hopefully awaken something in them to dig deeper to figure out what's going to be their path to even if they don't know yet, you don't have to know. But what are the things that you need to be doing that maybe someone else did? A practice of meditation,
Mhm.
working out, journaling, really interrogating your own belief system to see what limiting thoughts might be holding yourself back, you know. So that's what I wanted to do. It was a pilot with the schooling life. And oddly enough, I ended up interviewing all Cape Verdean or individuals who identified as Cabo Verdeanos.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really incredible to be able to highlight and bring those voices forward from um, uh, a path, because many of them as well were doctorates, but I think they all brought some real life um, stories and journeys that many of us can connect to and relate to, and you
Yes.
have the pride in what they accomplished, but then that motivation to reach for that mountaintop as well. At least that's what I hoped.
Well, you're doing fine. You and and I'm definitely, different episodes I've seen that I'll be sharing on this podcast, on this Facebook group that I have. And actually, when I see you doing different things, you know, with your podcast or just a live motivational um, reel that you're putting up there, I'll share that. And I think that us as a community of creators, what we do is we have an understanding what we need to do for other creators, and that's support them. But
Yeah.
sometimes they think that just putting a like is support, and putting a like is support on a small level, but sharing things, because the message that you deliver during a podcast is sometimes very important, inspiring,
Mhm.
and I seen several people look at my podcast and then create their own.
Mhm.
And I told them that, look, when you're doing a podcast, there's something you have to do. You have to have a steady routine, weekly. It can go from every day to weekly, to bi-weekly. But anything after bi-weekly, I think you're not reaching out to your audience. You need to do it something where it's if you're only doing it once a month, I don't think you're getting a good enough message. People won't focus on it. So, um,
Yeah.
so, anyways, like podcasting, I met so many fabulous people, and
Mhm.
there's one thing that I'm after this, I'll create some clips for you, so you can promote on your Instagram, on your shows or different things. Like, um, it's very, very important how that you get that creativity and pass it on. Like I have some short reels that I done and put on YouTube that get more response than some of my podcasts.
For
And I'm
sure.
like, I said that only took it was only 2 minutes, a minute. That was nothing,
We've
and it
got
just
short
goes.
attention spans.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, now I'm not sure on this, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Did you write
Hmm.
a book? Did you tell me you wrote a book?
I did write a book. I wrote a book. It's really for college age students or college bound students. When I left higher education, I went to work for municipal government, focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I really missed. I just felt that I left a void, a voice that was not readily available on predominantly white institutions. That I
Hmm.
wanted to write a book that if I can encapsulate what I was doing semester to semester with my students on the college campus, that students can find it in that book. Um, it's called Eight Key Factors to um, I put surviving, but I crossed it out and put
Hmm.
thriving on a predominantly white institution. My research is focused on the lived experiences of chief diversity officers on predominantly white institutions in the Northeast region of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was an ode, a love letter, if you will, to marginalized students, especially students of color, um, as they embark on predominantly white institutions, especially if they're attending an institution that doesn't have a program like an Urban Scholars Initiative,
Mm-hmm.
um, just to try to give them some, allow them to go in with eyes wide open, if you will,
Yeah,
and help them focus on maximizing their resources and being sure they're demanding um, the return on what they've invested in that institution.
awesome. Yeah, it's I like I like writing. I did my poetry books. Doing another one on my police career for 30 years. I started working on that because of my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest daughter, she's like, because what happened is I was on social media and I seen um, an AI version of a book, right? And they create a book based on what you tell them or what you put in there, and they create their own story. So I did that. Cost me, it didn't cost much, so I did it, and it got my
Mm-hmm.
picture on it and everything, and it was pretty cool. But my daughter thought, the youngest, she said, "Oh my God!" She looks at, I didn't know it was this. It thought it was your police career, and I said, "Yeah." Um, I said, "I just wanted to do something funny, entertaining." She said, "Look, Daddy, I watch Law and Order. I like First 48. I do all these things because of, you know, seeing you, and I want to hear your
Mm-hmm.
stories. I want to see what you were involved in." And I said, all right, I'll do it. So I
Yeah.
started it a few weeks ago, and hopefully,
Yay.
yeah, hopefully I'm done by the end of the year. And so, are you looking to do another book?
I was gonna say that's awesome. I too am looking. This is part of the slow down, the rest to reset, so that I can really focus on getting my story out as well.
Yes.
Um, and it won't be just my story. I want to build upon what I've gathered through my research in my dissertation and these experiences. I was part of helping to establish structures of equity and inclusion within institutions and interviewing uh, top performing diversity officers in higher ed.
Hmm.
There was a lot of similarities and a lot of uh, resonance in their stories. Um, and I want to be able to share their narratives and their experiences, and through that, share my own. So I went into higher ed as an advocate, as a student advocate,
Hmm.
protesting on campus at UMass Dartmouth, where I was a student. And from there, I launched my career in higher ed because I wanted to go in the system to change the system, but really became very much pigeonholed by the system, um, limited by the system, um, was deemed a troublemaker,
Hmm.
table shaker, and all of this. And you experience a lot of the like quiet firing type of experiences by speaking up and speaking truth to power, and that eventually had me move on from higher ed, because it's hard to do a job that you're hired to do and try to convince folks um, of the methods, or face resistance in doing the
Hmm.
very job you've been hired to do. So I want to be able to share my own voice through that experience and journey, and sort of, especially for those who are just going into the field and are young and hungry and eager, to offer them some um, just a sight in a glimpse into my own experience and the path I took post higher ed, so that they understand that that's not the only way to continue being an advocate, to continue being a voice that speaks truth to power. I moved from municipal government to um, now teaching in the field and really focusing on developing practitioners to be able to manage that resistance and expand beyond just their ability to work for an institution or organization, but also to um, maximize, monetize their own expertise, their niche areas,
Hmm.
that really allow them to diversify their own income, um, and have more choice in their life, in their life, more autonomy, I should say, in their life choices than just
Hmm.
working to pay the
It's
bills.
yeah, it's I like that because it's what I get out of everything I'm involved in, from the littlest to the most major or essential, is I'm trying to learn too, right? As I'm going through the process of whatever it may be, a simple conversation, it may be a board meeting, but I'm always trying to learn in everything that I do. Um, I learn every day
Mhm.
on my school bus, and it's first grader, second grader, two fifth graders,
Mhm.
seventh graders, two eighth graders, right? And I learned so much. I mean, I'm catching up on some words, some vocabulary, you know,
Yes.
urban slang, and I'm having a ball. The worst thing about it, right? The well, the disappointing thing about the whole thing is that we have some crazy conversation that I wish I could record it, but I can't
Yeah.
because of the position I'm in. So, and I let them go, especially there's two sets of siblings on the bus, right? So they have their own debate and they talk about different things. And so me, I'm watching, paying attention, driving, watching what's going on. And then I call it kid talks because I just let them talk and they debate different things and then they go at it, and I just keep my mouth shut. I let them work it through, right?
Mhm.
And they go back and forth. And some of those things they come up with, by the time we're at school, from when they leave the house, because it's a long ride. So by the time I pick them up and when we arrive at school, they resolve the whole situation. It's always, sometimes they don't, but most of the time they resolve whatever their conflict was. And it's so funny because some of them they already prepared to be good debaters about anything, and giving rhymes a reason why they feel like this. And I uh I just love it. I just love it. And so that leads me to that I put my grandkids on my podcast, and they were on my podcast, and so it was
Yes.
pretty funny. They want to come back on again.
You should. You
Parents are
should.
Yeah, the parents are worried what they would say, and I said just let them be who they are, it's no big deal. And they took off, run and ran with it. They did a fine job. So
Mhm.
one of my highlights.
Love
So
that.
I got a question for you that I ask all my guests.
Mhm.
Who would you like to see on the Really Charlie podcast?
Who would I like to see? Wow, let me think about that. I'm sure I can think of a few people
Okay, all right.
that I'd
It's
love to see.
all right. Let's talk about your podcast, right? You you put some guests on there, and every podcast inspirational, rewarding. You love it. But what was that one podcast that just kind of sits. You always kind of go back to it all the time. I mean, that one guest.
So my podcast was a pilot podcast last fall,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a yearly production because, like you said, you don't want to put something out and then not be able to be consistent with it. So I derived my plan to um, have a set amount of guests.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I had 5 guests, and honestly, they all were impactful to me for different reasons.
And that's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, um, I was inspired by every single conversation that I had, and I admire and um, I admire each guest that I invited.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't random, right? I
Yep.
sort of premeditated my interest in those guests when I reached out and was able to have a successful commitment. Um, it really helped drive the focus of our conversation and personalize each interview to the particular journey and story that I felt could be told by the particular guest.
Mm-hmm.
And that none of them disappointed. um, which really made for some natural conversations. And it was just like you said, hearing a couple people having a FaceTime call, you know. Um, so yeah, it would be hard for me to choose just one of the 5, to be
Yep.
honest. Um, because like I said, each one of them had an incredible journey and a particular message to share. So hopefully folks, take a minute to visit the Schooling Life um, with Dr. B page on YouTube. I chose to separate it from my On Assignment with
Mm-hmm.
Dr. B, just to give it its own place to be able to grow. I hope to continue the podcast. There's been a lot of transitions for me between 2025 and into 2026, and still early on in the year. So um, I'm hoping to be able to generate another sort of season or mini series to continue. I have a couple of new guests that I have in mind, some interest of some incredible educators and scholars um, who are doing um, things that are impacting our entire state, and
Yeah.
not just one particular community. So I look forward to bringing those voices, and then some other voices that are not as grand on the stage, right? Just to drive that message home that it's not about titles and credentials. It's about grit, hunger, and vision. Um, and helping to keep people motivated, keep people hopeful, keep people hungry, and helping them realize that the answers, the paths you seek is not out there. It's in here, you
Mm.
know. Um, and I just want to find those people who are concentrated on their self development, self awareness that really helps them attract and manifest the life that they're seeking to live.
I love that. That's good. That
Hmm.
you know, I'm glad that you're going to continue and do the podcast and get certain messages out there. Put some people in front of the camera. Give them their flowers while they're standing. It's very, very important.
Yeah.
And just think about when you were at UMass Dartmouth, right? And all the things you were involved in. And it just doesn't have to be that place, but you look at all that time and you wish you had captured a video of something, right? And just didn't do it. It just didn't happen. And that's the one thing I like about my like podcasting period is that I produce a video of my guest and the conversation we have, because so many families don't have pictures of certain people in their family
Mhm.
and certain videos, and 5, 10 years down the line, you know, podcasts and videos like this are very inspirational. Tomorrow isn't promised, so captivating a conversation for people is very, very important. That's one thing I like about podcasting is that I get to get a video of a friend, of a special person, of someone in the community that we can reflect on. I think it's so important.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I do it, and I'm glad that you're gonna do it. You just never know, in that particular conversation is in that that
Yeah.
that video of a person, including yourself, is so important to the people that are um, inspired by you,
Yeah.
um, and it's just so important. So that's why I
I'm
do
very, I'm very big also on not trying to fit in a box, right? I'm like trying to
it.
break out the box
Yeah.
all the time. And so I believe that there's different messages for different people and different voices that awaken um, uh, different folks. And so I plan on, doing some intentional content creation through my page. That's, again, on assignment with Dr. Barris. It's about finding your gift and every day being intentional about how you're showing up, the thoughts that you're having, the feelings that you're managing, um, to really help you understand what's the actions you got to take daily to get to those goals and visions that you have, how to even develop your vision. And so I've got a lot of things I want to talk about, and I think that it doesn't always come in one package. School and life will speak to certain audience, and then there's other audiences that need some conscious real talk in a different way that taps into um, culture, um, I guess I want to say pop culture, but just the types of things that people are paying attention to. You know, the Bad Bunny performances of the
Hmm.
world, the
Yeah.
um, Cardi B's
Hmm.
relationships, and just the different ways in which we can talk about self awareness and self development through some of these
Hmm.
things that could be mindless to certain people. I did a series on hidden colors, did a reactionary sort of set of videos on hidden colors, um, which is a documentary. To me, it resonated very much because I grew up in the era where you were watching Roots, right?
Yes. Yep.
I watched Roots, learned about Malcolm X and all those um, folks who awakened me. And it's really important that we understand our history, our true history. Speaking of Black history, we have the shortest month of the year, but we've got
Hmm.
to know that Black history is American history. But we've got to have a Black history because our stories, our history is often told in his voice and not in the voice of those who lived it. And
Hmm.
so who lived it in the sense who were marginalized and oppressed through the history. And so I think you'll hopefully the audience will follow and be able to see different things that I'll come out with. So don't expect to see me just in one realm, but my
Yeah.
voice to um, go beyond just the academic settings, but tapping into the wild, wild west, the real world,
Hmm.
from folks whom have a high school diploma all the way through the doctorate level. Like I want to really break um, the standards of communication and knowledge sharing, right? That goes beyond
Hmm.
just protected institutions and schools. So
Awesome.
more
I
to
like
come.
that. You made mention about not wanting to be in that black box, right?
or any box for that matter.
Yeah, true. Now, what was that one? Somebody looked at you years ago, and they had you in a box. What was that one thing that they thought you were gonna be?
Oh, they thought I was gonna be. Probably continue to be. Um,
Could be good, bad, or ugly. It doesn't matter.
yeah, I would say, like I mentioned earlier, feeling very pigeonholed in my career. That I felt that institutions that I worked for, um, and I think it could be equated to any workplace. It's not just specific to higher education, but
Hmm.
that you can be pegged to just being a good employee, a good worker.
Yeah.
And I've always had this innate drive to be a leader. Um, and when you're in spaces where you don't necessarily show up, I mean, listen, I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. I grew up in Brockton.
Hmm.
My first spoken language was Creole, Cape
Yeah.
Verdean Creole. I was just shy of probably having to take ESL courses going in. So I've always had limitations around language and vocabulary. Growing up in an immigrant household, which my parents raised me like we was living in Fogo, Cape Cabo Verde. So there's a lot of cultural context around emotional intelligence that I had limitations in, even in understanding what my feelings were to then be able to express them. That's all has come through intentional self development, awareness, education. Um, and that has definitely, I feel like, pegged me from folks who come from a more affluent, definitely white identifying dominant identities, um, with parents whom were educated. There's this idea of what you're capable of, or how you show up and how you speak, and where and how they want to sort of utilize you in the spaces. So I think in some at some point, I think I felt that folks just wanted me to be respectable
Hmm. Yeah.
and obedient, and I've always I've always been the one to challenge, to question, to be curious, to push back, to ask the questions that folks are thinking and not brave enough to speak out loud. And so yeah, I think
That's
that
good.
that's how I would answer that. And that I've broken the mold, and now I've sort of like gained my wings to
Hmm.
feel that I don't need to rest on any one particular workplace, or particular pathway, and I'm really working to expand, um, and diversify, right, my ways of impacting in this world. And honestly, I'm still just getting started.
That's that's good. That's good because if you there's no one person should think or believe that they're completed, right? There's always room for improvement and
Yes, it's a
expansion, like you
lifelong
said.
journey. Yeah,
Yep. So I'm glad that you are definitely doing that. Just keep being the person you are. Um, like I said earlier, you impressed me since day one. I want you to continue to be who you are. Um,
thank you.
and there's definitely some great things that you're doing. And as a man from a distance, I look at you and I say, yeah, 5 stars to her, 5 stars for a lot of reasons. Not just a doctor in your name, not just a Maritsa in your first name, not just the last name. It's the person. the person that you are. I didn't need to read your titles. I didn't. You're just a
Mm.
good person, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Right. So, Doctor, where could we find you? Right. Tell us where we can find you on social media, and then give us a closing remark on your end.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, you find me most active on Instagram. My Instagram, Facebook is mostly focused on. Here's part of that entrepreneurial sort of mindset is understanding, overstanding um, how this world is going around, and
I like
knowing
that
that
overstanding. I like that.
yeah,
I'm,
overstanding
I'm
and
gonna use that.
yeah, understanding that this world revolves. Um, we're in a capitalist society, right? And
Hmm.
social media, while is a platform to connect and stay connected, it's and engage. It's also mostly a place for consumership, and I'm very conscious about how I consume and what I produce for those who are consuming my own content. So, my page, you're gonna find a lot less about my personal life and a lot more about conscious mindset and things. I share things that help raise the consciousness of folks
Hmm.
and um, leave it as a place where when I can bring my intentional content that you'll find that there and it'll be a place of substance. So if you're looking for a motivational quote or and sometimes I'm sharing things, sometimes um, regurgitating or summarizing things that I'm listening to and learning from. So I'm constantly reading, listening to audio, watching what most people might find as boring videos. Um, but those takeaways, those highlights, that's what I'll be sharing on my Instagram, my Facebook. You can also catch me on LinkedIn and my YouTube. My YouTube is a little quiet right now, but
Hmm.
it'll definitely be picking up. Like I said, I'm in this season in my life right now where I'm recognizing the importance in um, not chasing and focusing
Hmm.
on attracting. And the only way to attract and manifest is to really do that inner work and continue to do that self development. And I'm finally in a place where I don't feel like I have to continue reaching for the next level of accomplishment and credential to bring value and really
Hmm.
trying to dig deep to see what is the thing that's anchoring me in this world that I can give as a gift to people to help, not even help awaken them because it's not my job to awaken folks, right? It's
Hmm.
my job to maintain woke in my own life and in my day to day. So really focus on intentionality, and that's what I would want to offer people. Um, in my closing, if there's one thing I wanted to leave folks with here today, it's not about um, what's outside of you, what you have to prove to people, right? Our ego sometimes can really lead us in a way where we seek validation
Hmm.
in attention. Um, and we have to really understand that we are great. We're natural born geniuses. We're inventors. We're scientists. I mean, we are the original beings
I love
of
it.
this earth, and we really need to tap back into that. And so, connecting to our ancestral past and history, I think, is part of finding your way forward. So that's what some of my silence and pause is right now because I'm in that deep journey, and I
Hmm.
when I come out, I want it to be authentic. I want it to be um, strategic, and I want it to be unapologetic.
Yes.
So there's a lot of inner work and quiet work that has to happen to show up in that way. And so I offer that to folks. You know, find your sauce. That's what I like to
Hmm.
refer to it as, where you can be strategic, authentic, and unapologetic in just who you are and the voice that's unique to this world. So
Love it.
thank you for having me, for
Of
giving me the
course.
opportunity to share. I really appreciate the reel that you created.
Hmm.
For bringing a lot of the work that I've done in the past year together in that reel was nice to see, and it was a good reminder to make sure that as much as I'm in this season
Hmm.
of um, rest and reset, to not take too long to come out, right? To come
Yeah,
back.
exactly. You
Yeah,
you keep on maintaining the grind and continue to be organic in your as you are, and I truly truly appreciate you. Um, I will produce some clips from this within the next hour, and I'll post it on Facebook and Instagram, so you have it. Also on TikTok, so I have those clips of this podcast up there, so you can
yeah.
use for your YouTube channel, for your podcast,
Thank
and
you.
uh, and for your next reel.
Yeah. And
So
let me say one more thing about it,
sure.
because especially with this being Black History Month and going into Women's History Month, my shirt here. Um, I'm working closely with my husband, CJ
Hmm.
Sena, with Sena Vision. We're producing a lot of different designs, and t-shirts have been one of the things where um, you'll see me come out more with. But this particular
Hmm.
shirt, Eracism, um, you know, as individuals in honor of Black History Month, every single day of the year, I think it's our job and every single person's responsibility to erase all isms, right? And
Hmm.
if we're going to do that, if we're going to truly do that societally, we have to do that within ourselves.
Clip
So
that. Yeah.
I just want to drop that, right? That it starts with you and challenging your own belief systems, challenging the messages that you've been indoctrinated with in this country, especially in the United States. Indoctrination happens in every country, but in the US in particular, it's rooted deeply in racism. So, all isms, let's erase it and
Hmm. I
dig
like
deep,
it.
y'all.
I love t-shirts. So
Yes.
I'm gonna have to talk to you so I can get that t-shirt and definitely wear it on this podcast. Um,
Yeah, any t-shirt, I'll drop that plug that you have
mhm.
any ideas for creations. Center Vision can definitely support folks in doing so. And like I said, follow we can follow Center Vision's page on social media as well, so you can see what more is coming from our company.
All right, I'll definitely share that and check it out. And also become a customer, right?
Word.
So you you are a special woman. Keep up the great work and continue with everything that you possibly want to do in life. And I truly, truly appreciate you. And let's not make this the last podcast. Let's do this again at some point, and it might lead to a discussion. One thing I like doing on the podcast is I haven't done it in over probably a year. I like to have a beauty shop, and where
Mm,
I bring women on and just to talk about anything, just like
let's
if they were in
do
a
it.
beauty shop, right?
Yes, beauty shop talk. That's what I'm talking
Uh-huh.
about. I love a good
Yeah.
debate. Not even a debate, but just conversations about
Yeah.
things that are um, parallel or have
Mhm.
really strong opinions on either
Yeah.
sides. I think it's really important to be unpacking things like that. And the best way, honestly, to do that is to have multiple perspectives.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
And on the men's side, I do the barbershop, and then they talk.
The barbershop. Yes.
So just you ever want to do that? In fact, I'll probably get it going not this month because I'm kind of booked solid. But definitely probably April. Maybe I'll get some going and send you an invitation. So
Yes, and I had and one question I didn't answer for you
sure.
is one person that I think you should have on the podcast. I'm going to recommend the Dr. Lilu Barboza. Are you
Mm,
familiar?
no, I'm not, and I
Okay.
probably am, and I'm just not thinking straight. But we
Yeah,
have to, if you
I'll
can,
send you some information for
yes.
him. He's local, he's a scholar, um, a social justice advocate as well. So definitely a
Mm,
great and would be great for barbershop talk as well. So
okay.
definitely that's my one recommendation there.
Well, I definitely will work out, send an invitation, and we'll work out the date, and we'll
Yeah,
go from there. And there's one thing I do it on Tuesdays, but if sometimes some days are better than the other, then I'll work the podcast, and but I will reach out and get that done for you. All right.
awesome, awesome. Thanks again for having
All
me. It's
right.
been a great
Thank you. Thank you.
conversation. I appreciate it.
All right, my dear. We will be on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Also, I'm going to try to do whatever I can to get this on Substack. So we'll be doing that too. So um, you need me, I'm a message away, my friend, and just
Yes,
get in touch with me.
same.
All right.
Definitely. Have a great night.
You also. Thank you.
Keep being inspired by them young kids.
I will. I can't wait. Actually, I got to talk to them in the morning because I left my van a little mess. I got to,
Yeah,
I got to talk to them. So, but
it's all
thank you.
good.
Thank you.
All
You
right.
have a
Peace,
great night.
y'all. You
All right.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. Man, great guest. Great um, woman. She's definitely, I met her a couple of years ago, and that's what networking is so important, right? You never know. Someone asking you to go somewhere or invite you to different, whether it's a conference or a meeting or whatever, go. You never know who you're going to meet. And because I got an invitation around a bunch of educators, guess what? I met Maritsa, Dr. Maritsa de Sena. Awesome woman. And she's doing great things. You heard it. You heard it firsthand. So that's what I try to do on a Really Charlie podcast every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And don't forget, we have sometimes you have to lose yourself on Wednesday. Myself and Marvin Speller, the author of Unpacking Grief, Shattered to Onward. We do that every Wednesday. Um, and we also do another podcast on Wednesday, which is Chopping It Up at Honeydew. Myself, Walter Moniz, and Chops Turner, the voice. The voice. Chops is amazing guy. Walter, great owner of numerous honeydews in the area. And we just have a conversation at Honeydew on Route 18, which is 113 Conway Street. And we just talk shop. Whoever comes in, we just put them right in front of the mic and we talk about whatever. And that's community. That's what we try to do here. So, all right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I truly hope you appreciated Dr. Maritza DeSena, and she is just, great person. Check out her podcast on YouTube, Instagram, and you won't be sorry. All right, everyone. Take care. I will see you guys tomorrow night, right here at this same place. But we'll be with Marvin Speller, Coach M100. I cannot wait. We're going to talk about love and grief and a few other things. So, and don't forget about tomorrow morning. Also at Honeydew, we are going to be chopping it up. All right, everyone. Take care. God bless. Love you.